Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person. Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
Well, you haven't. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
You idiot!
(2023) What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Welcome to the show, everybody. That's right. New Year, but as you're going to see, same old Republican Party, or at least same old since Trump. Okay, anyway, we have insanity, lots of insanity to start out with. Of course, as usual, we're going to start out with Trump's, the beginning of this year was met by grievance, many grievances. So we'll talk about that, including Facebook. We have the border and NATO. So Donald Trump, not happy about any of these things. And we'll dive into it, of course. Then we have ex-staffers not exactly happy about their employment prospects. Yes, as usual. We have the House in Chaos. House of Chaos, by the way, sounds fun. But we're going to talk about that. You might have heard that the House speakership vote has failed. We're going to get into that. We got plenty of grievance on all sides. Fun times. This is the pro-McCarthy Republicans versus the anti-McCarthy. The McCarthyites versus the non-McCarthy. Oh, it's so good. Then we have Donald Jr. With a new grift on a very old book. And then George Santos starting his first day in Congress. How's that going? Well, we'll get into that. All right. So we have unprecedented madness going on in our government. So with that, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Of course, it helps us continue to do great content. So, all the electoral drama that you can handle. So with that, let's do it. Start with Trump's grievances. All right. Former President Donald Trump welcomed the new year. Yes, 2023 by doing, well, what else does he do? Raging on social media. of course, on his failing platform,
Truth, essential.
he posted about some things that just decided to irritate him. First, he's talking about the southern border. We got the southern border here. Here's what he said. Our southern border is far beyond horrible. There is no country in the world that has such atrocious, unsafe, and disgusting conditions at their border. We are worse than any third world nation. The same third world nations that people are leaving through their border. Okay, sure. Just think, 2 years ago, we had the safest and most stable border in U.S. history. We did. Criminals and gang and drugs entering our once great country were at a decades low, and now our beautiful USA is being poisoned from within. A nation in decline. Make America great again and fast. Now, look, aside from all the horde stuff, basically calling immigrants or, likening them to being a poison, which is horrifying in its own. Let's go again and look at the facts. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to do some facts. So let's look at the border policies. Are there any differences between Donald Trump's and Biden's border policies? Not really. According to Human Rights Watch, the Biden administration has continued to use and even expand on many of the same policies that had violated U.S. and international human rights law under Trump. So, for example, the biggest one they cite is Title 42. Now, Title 42, the Biden administration said, well, we want to get rid of it. But guess what? The Supreme Court said, no. No, you're not going to get rid of it. Now, Title 42 was the pandemic-era Trump program that basically used that pandemic to keep out asylum seekers, migrants, immigrants. So the Biden administration has been forced to keep that policy, and guess what? Since they've been forced to keep the policy, they decided, why not expand it? Yes, that's right. According to Politico, administration officials are now weighing plans to double down on that authority in order to expand border expulsions with respect to 3 nationalities: Cuban, Haitian, and Nicaraguan. Of course, Haiti, not good things going in Haiti. Of course, they continue to get hit by massive storms, and they've got poverty, corruption in the government. Now, months ago, their leader was assassinated. And so, yeah, you've got some big issues there that are causing people to leave, to try to migrate somewhere that's a little bit safer. And even with all the mass shootings that we have in this country, the United States is still safer. So now the Biden administration also weighed a transit ban, which would bar most people from applying for asylum, which is a right under U.S. and international law, if they had not already done so in one of the countries that they had passed through on their way to get to the U.S. border. So that, of course, is a continuation of a Trump policy as well. And Axios and CBS also reported that the Biden administration was considering increasing prosecutions of migrants who crossed between ports of entry. And so all of that is basically a continuation and expansion of Trump-era policies. So, for one, it's an indictment of the Biden administration, but also it proves that Donald Trump is just incorrect. He has no idea what it is at all. He just thinks, I'm not in power, and so obviously the border must be bad. Yeah, I know, right? But again, policy-wise, there's not a lot of difference between the Trump administration's border policy and the Biden administration's border policy. Now, there is a difference, though, between when Trump was president and Biden when it comes to the situation at the border. Right now, we do have more refugees. We do have more asylum seekers that are requesting entrance into the country. And at this moment, well, let's be honest, border communities do not have the resources to handle it. Now, you could solve that problem by increasing border resources, and that is a job for the federal government that can actually help do that. And so they need that support from the federal government. Well, who's running the federal government? Biden. So, They should be able to work out something. They should be able to get immigration judges down to the border to help those communities, to help those cases, instead of shutting people out. That said, on to the next beef. Donald Trump decides to go after NATO. He said, "When I was president, I made member nations pay up all the money they weren't paying to NATO. U.S. was footing a bill, almost the entire NATO bill, and I quickly put a stop to that. Hundreds of billions of dollars were then rapidly paid by these delinquent nations." The Secretary General of NATO said that it was amazing what President Trump had done. Yes, this is still him writing. "Thank you, but here we go again. The good old USA suckers are paying a vast majority of the NATO bill and outside money going to Ukraine. Very unfair." Now, it is true that Stoltenberg did say that Trump deserved credit in obtaining the $100 billion more in defense spending for NATO from other member countries. Okay, that's a fair point. Now, that said, there's not a lot of confidence by NATO members in the United States, which is why, of course, other member nations are starting to pay more because they know that they can't count on the United States anymore. According to Time magazine, Europe's leaders are looking nervously at what the 2024 presidential election cycle may mean for U.S. support for NATO, which former President Donald Trump had long criticized and wanted to walk away from. And that's added to the urgency of efforts to get the U.S. to bolster NATO as much as possible in the next 2 years before a possible shift in the winds. Okay. So, Sophia Besh, a fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, says the strategic shift, in Europe came about in part out of fear that the political changes inside the U.S. may eventually erode American commitments to NATO. She says, if the U.S. attention eventually shifts away from Ukraine and Europe, there is a sense, particularly in France, that strengthening the European pillar in NATO matters. So now, that's what they're saying. For me, I don't think we should be spending that much overseas, at least as much as we do in defense. Humanitarian stuff, definitely. More weapons and war, no, I don't think we should be spending that money. Right now, the Pentagon, just the Pentagon, has an $800 billion defense budget. Add to that, we're basically writing blank checks to Ukraine, who then uses the money to purchase weapons from U.S. defense contractors. And now, I get and understand helping Ukraine fight Russian aggression. But at the same time, understand that we're spending so much on weapons without a second thought, without even thinking about just, oh, you need more money? Oh, make it rain, as long as it goes to war, as long as it goes to bombs, as long as it goes to killing people. There's always enough money for that. But when it comes to actually, healthcare for everybody's paid sick leave, the number one question that always gets asked is, well, how are we going to pay for that? How are we going to pay for that? I don't know. We take some of that money that we're, spending on defense contractors and actually spend it on healthcare and childcare and affordable, medication or free medication for everybody who needs it. Just everybody, paid leave, free education, do all that stuff. Maybe if we weren't spending $800 billion on bombs. Just saying. Or, even other countries' defense. Especially countries that don't need it at this point, like Israel. But anyway, that said, the whole idea that Republicans, by the way, and this is something that I want to mention, the whole idea that Republicans are anti-war because they don't want to send money to Ukraine is not accurate. Look, under the Trump and Biden administrations, the government has been selling weapons to all these different countries, mainly the Saudis. Remember the Trump administration sending so many weapons deals, billions of dollars in weapons deals to Yemen. Oh, you want to call themselves anti-war? No, that's ridiculous. But for Ukraine, the reason that I believe that Republicans in the Congress don't want to send money to Ukraine is because they like Russia. They prefer Russia. They like what they're doing over there. They love what Putin has done with anti-LGBTQ crackdowns. They see that Putin's Russia as a model for the United States that we should instead be emulating. We should be more like Russia. Why are we sending money to Ukraine when we should be more like the Russians? So understand, it's a foreign policy is a little bit more of a complicated situation. At the same time, of course, Donald Trump gets it wrong, and he's not anti-war. I don't honestly don't even know what his issue is, other than me, give me credit, give me power. That's what it is. So now finally, Donald Trump raged at Facebook. So, and you're not going to be surprised why. Quote, Facebook has lost over $80 billion in value since deplatforming President Donald J. Trump. Also, it has gotten very boring and uninteresting. That stupid, unnecessary, and probably illegal move is now considered a major business mistake. I agree. So, he's trying to claim that Facebook or Meta has lost all this money just because they deplatformed Trump. What? No, the reason that, that Meta, and by the way, it is Meta, they lost all this money because they overinvested in their lame-ass metaverse. That's really the reason here, or the big reason. And of course, you have reduced ad spending that's being spent on, digital advertising on places like Facebook, etc. Look, mainly though, nobody wants to buy an expensive VR headset to go e-shopping at e-Walmart. We're not interested. Okay? No, not at all interested. Sorry. It's not, just because it's futuristic doesn't mean it's not stupid. The Cybertruck. Yeah, it's futuristic, all right. But it's also stupid. It's just really, really dumb. So, by all means, Zuckerberg, continue pouring so much money into Meta. Please continue into the metaverse. Maybe at some point, people in the metaverse or avatars will get legs, or at least decent-looking legs. But as expected, Donald Trump airs his list of grievances, and they're all basically nonsense, non-factual. And what I'm hoping for in 2023 is that the DOJ gives him something to actually complain about. Perhaps in the form of indictments. It's a small hope, but it's hope. Okay. Moving on. Let's go to some job prospects. Am I thinking of Cyberpunk? Cyberpunk actually turned out to be decent. It just started out really bad. Really bad. But it's been patched and it's actually a lot better. Although I'm still irritated at CD Projekt Red for, doing crunch culture in their games when they said, we're not going to do crunch culture. The games industry needs a lot more unionization, a lot more worker protections. But, okay, anyway, let's go on. Sorry to filibuster, or to not filibuster, sorry, to get stun locked by that, but it happens. It happens. Okay. If you've got sufficient setup to run it, it's actually not bad on PC. I do not have the newest and greatest, latest and greatest technology. I don't have like a 380, an RTX 380 or anything like that. My card's a few years old, and it runs Cyberpunk actually pretty well at this point. The real issue is on last gen consoles, it ran like garbage, and of course the hilarious bugs. But again, I need to get off this stun lock. Okay. Former Trump officials were not happy over January 6th, and it's mainly because it made them look bad. Now, this is according to newly released records from the January 6th committee, and they showed text messages exchanged between Julie Radford, Ivanka Trump's former aide, and former White House political advisor Hope Hicks. So now Hicks, who previously served as Trump's communication director, wrote that any Trump staffers, and this is after January 6th, who didn't have jobs lined up will be perpetually unemployed. To which I say, good. Good. But from her perspective, not good. Quote, I'm so mad and upset. We all look like domestic terrorists now.
Oh my God, he admitted.
Or in this case, she. I didn't say it. She said it. We look like domestic terrorists now. True. Very, very true. Now, look, what this actually really does tell you is that these people, a lot of people in the White House, by the way, knew exactly what Donald Trump was up to, knew exactly how bad January 6th was. But it also tells you that they only really cared about themselves. They didn't care about what was actually happening on that day. It just, oh my God, no, what about my future job prospects? And nobody's going to hire me now. As opposed to, oh my God, the president of the United States just tried to block a peaceful transfer of power and supported insurrectionists on the Capitol grounds. That shows you who they actually are. Because of course. But there's more. Referring to Trump's targeting of then Vice President Mike Pence after he had refused to help Trump overturn the election, Hicks wrote this in her text messages. Attacking the VP? WTF is wrong with him? A lot. A lot. It amazes me how much of a blind spot many of the people who work for Trump had. I mean, it is a blind spot. How could you not see who Donald Trump was? It's incredibly obvious. It's been obvious. How long did you work for him? How long did you work for him? Years. Years. How long did you know him? And you just found this out. Oh my God, it turns out the guy's a monster. You know they noticed. They knew it because look, here's what I think. There's only two kind of people who surrounded Trump. People who like to be used and maybe abused. You know. Because.
Sexual anarchy.
Okay, no, maybe not that way. But there were also the people who wanted to use Donald Trump. I believe that Hicks and Radford are the latter. They wanted to use Trump in order to position themselves into power. So, I mean, why wouldn't you surround yourself or be, surround the president of the United States because he's president of the United States? Why wouldn't you serve in the White House? Then they realize, oh my God, this guy's insane. What is wrong with him? Oh, now it's going to make us look bad. Well, you tied yourself to that ship. You fucked around, you're going to find out. Or you're finding out. So now Radford had noted that in one day, Trump ended every future opportunity that doesn't include speaking engagements at the local Proud Boys chapter, and that she'd been crying for an hour. Oh, boo. Oh, sad. Baby. Don't care. Hicks reiterated, this made us all unemployable. Like, untouchable. God, I am so fucking mad. Radford replied, I know. Like, there isn't a chance of finding a job. Again, all they care about is how this makes them look to future employers. I was going to cash in. I was going to cash in so hard. And it looks like I can't. I just can't. Finally, in a clear reference to Alyssa Farrah Griffiths, Finally, in a clear reference to Alyssa Farah Griffiths' resignation from her White House communications director role 1 month prior to January 6th, Hicks mentioned to Radford that Alyssa, quote, like a genius. You know, if you've ever watched her interview, I don't exactly come away with that, with that feeling watching her. But, okay, I guess in the context of her quitting in the White House before it screwed over her, future career prospects, I guess you could say she was a genius, that she didn't basically light her future on fire and then, flush it down the toilet, or have Trump flush it down the toilet.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it.
You could just never handle it. The damage that I've just caused in my career. But again, terrible people. Now, that said, with Alyssa, when asked about why she had resigned, she said, quote, I was advised by the campaign to stand down. That wouldn't be the message. Now, what message is she referring to? Well, that was a message of her saying, we lost. That was pretty much it. She said, it looks like we lost, or she was going to say, on behalf of the administration, it looks like we lost, but Republicans were able to turn out. Record Hispanic support, record African American support, and we helped get a record number of women elected to the House of Representatives. And said we weren't going to be acknowledging the loss, and they were going to pursue avenues to reconcile that. And I'm of the mind that it's foundational to our democracy that if you think there was fraud or irregularities, the president absolutely should pursue legal recourse to determine if there was. I made the decision to step down in December because I saw where this was heading. And I wasn't comfortable being part of sharing this message to the public that the election results might go a different way. I didn't see that to be where the facts lay. So basically, that's somebody who's deeply conservative saying, guys, I'm out. This is stupid. We obviously lost 60 court cases. They don't have any evidence at all. What are we doing? We're just being stupid because of one man's ego. And so, of course, for that alone, she ends up being considered one of the smart ones. That is to say that she obviously does not desire a future in Republican politics, because if she did, she probably would have stayed with the base, who believes that the election was stolen. Or else you might, but of course, people who had served in the Trump administration, they had to go two ways, right? They continued to stay with the crazy, they continued to stay with Trump in order to ride the coattails as much as they can, or what little opportunity they have. And then there's the ones who quit, don't do very well in elections, at least up until the midterm, but end up either going to TV or going to corporate America, becoming a lobbyist, etc. And so Alyssa Farah, she went on to, go on to The View and I guess success is too much of a word, really, to describe what she does, but makes money. A lot more money than I do. A lot more money than any of us do. So I guess that's a success in their mind. Sure. But that said, staying with Trump, well, it's a ticket to nowhere, basically. You no longer are you even guaranteed an election because the vast majority of Americans, even Republicans, are kind of sick of pushing that narrative, even if they personally believe it. So either way, for them, people like Hope Hicks and other staffers who didn't get away in time, hey, that's splash damage. You're part of the collateral damage, and you were warned before, if Donald Trump goes down, you're going to go with him. Well, that's what happens. Fuck around and find out. On. Go to McCarthy. That is fun. House Republicans are in chaos after Kevin McCarthy lost his first vote and second vote, apparently, to become Speaker of the House. It means the speakership is, well, that whole fight has gotten very, very interesting. Let's just say that. First, I'm going to show you a video here of Marjorie Taylor Greene earlier this morning, who was raging about members of her party who eventually voted against McCarthy. Take a look.
As a matter of fact, I'll quote Matt Gaetz. He said it's exquisite. That's what he said on our conference call on Sunday. But in that conference meeting there, we found out that there were several members, 3 in fact, that went in last night and were demanding positions for themselves, demanding gavel positions, demanding subcommittees, demanding for people to be taken off committees and people to be put on committees. Three Republicans out of our 222. I want you all to know I have not done that for myself. I haven't asked for one thing for myself, and I'm the only Republican that has 0 committees. So you would think I would be the one in there asking for something, but I haven't done that. But I find out that it's my Freedom Caucus colleagues and my supposed friends that went and did that, and they asked nothing for me. Nothing. That's what I found out in there. I'm furious.
You know what's funny? Like, I have not asked for anything because you were already promised all your committee assignments. You lunatic. But okay, she's furious and she's mad, and oh my God, my friends, they're asking for committee assignments that I was already promised. Why wouldn't you support McCarthy so that I can get my committee assignments? Well, how dare you go and ask for your own? Okay, all right. Hilarious. So now look, Republican lawmakers have been, let's just say that there hasn't been any agreement on McCarthy, so it's not really a surprise that he failed to get enough members for his vote. In fact, earlier today, McCarthy noted behind closed doors that there was at least 20 members that he said were planning to vote against him. And it's why, well, it's not because McCarthy doesn't want to be extreme enough. No. Marjorie Greene kind of, well, she kind of addressed it right there. He's just not handing out enough favors to those people who want them. As CNN reports, McCarthy pledged an aggressive investigative agenda against the Biden administration that will highlight conservative priorities such as Hunter Biden's business activities. Ah, yes. And the treatment of January 6 rioters. The Wall Street Journal reported that McCarthy has also acceded to conservative demands for a panel that would launch a far-reaching probe against, alleged politicization of the Justice Department and FBI. McCarthy also left the door to pursuing impeachment against Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. So, I mean, that sounds like a pretty extreme Republican agenda that's just going to waste all of our time for the next couple of years doing investigations over Hunter Biden's laptop, Hunter Biden's sock drawer, Hunter Biden's butt crack. I don't know what they're going to try to find. And by the way, there's probably plenty of pictures of Hunter Biden's butt crack anywhere that you can look online, thanks to people trying to leak the report on Twitter. Or those pictures on Twitter. Okay, well, look, you can stare at it all you want, I guess. Although I personally would advise against it. It's not that he's not extreme enough. Again, she said, these people are coming up there and they're demanding assignments for committees. Only I get the committees back. And of course, you heard from Greene. She later on went on Bannon's show and named names. Matt Gaetz, Representative Lauren Boebert, and Representative Scott Perry as the members who were demanding committee seats from McCarthy. Speaking of Boebert, by the way, during the meeting this morning, Boebert reportedly yelled in response to McCarthy claiming that he had earned the speakership, quote-unquote, bullshit. Okay, all right, fun. Now, following that meeting, of course, it got a little testier. First, here's Representative Scott Perry basically saying, hey, look, man, you don't deserve this seat.
Once we get a very slim majority after we were told there was going to be this huge red wave, well, then the conversation got a little interesting. But even so, what do you want? What do you want? We said, you're the guy that wants to be speaker. Tell us, if you want to earn our vote, how we're going to transform this place so that there's a different outcome for the American people. Tell us how you're going to do that. Yet nothing. So finally, he said, put something down. I want to know what you want. So we did in the beginning of December. And even at that point, there were people that said, I will not vote for Kevin McCarthy. But yet, I'm still working to try and avoid this moment that we're at right now, the whole time. And so that's one question you should ask yourself. Instead of saying to these folks that are standing with me, why have you brought us to this point? Well, we surely haven't come here alone. There's one person that could have changed all this.
Oh, you see, it was Kevin McCarthy the whole time, didn't give us what we wanted. And so, of course, we were forced into, not voting for him and basically throwing the entire House Republican, caucus into disarray. To which I say, I love conservative on conservative crime. It's the best crime. Let him fight. But it gets better. Following Paris speaking to the press, CNN reported McCarthy also got into a shouting match with Representative Chip Roy, with the report stating that it was a heated back and forth with Kevin McCarthy about some of the concessions that McCarthy has made. So, not going well. Really not going well for Republicans in choosing the speaker. Awesome. So now, what does this mean going forward? Well, that's the interesting question, right? First of all, this does not put McCarthy, even if he does end up winning the speakership, that doesn't put him in a good position. Oh, and by the way, if he doesn't get the votes, and the establishment somehow, the Republican establishment reaches out to Democrats to secure a vote, how do you think that's going to go? Right? And now, of course, you could have the situation where Democrats fold and choose somebody who claims to be a moderate Republican, but there is no such thing. And then we're basically back to, investigating Hunter Biden's taint. Okay, well, that's ridiculous and stupid, but it's a Republican. What do you expect? But you could also have the situation, and maybe looking positive here, is that kind of weakness could be something that if you're, if you're interested in power, if you're interested in some sort of power sharing, or at least stopping Republicans from doing the worst of their agenda, you could use that as leverage. And I'm talking about the Democrats specifically using that as leverage. Are they going to do so? Well, again, that depends on Democrats actually being strong as well and using McCarthy's weakness and the non-unified Republican Party as a weapon in order to, again, make them give up concessions. But again, that's an open question, and whether Democrats are actually politically savvy enough to do so. That said, it is very possible that at least this weakness will hamper Republicans' own ability to do some of these BS investigations, at the very least. So, I'm trying to be hopeful what's going to happen. But it is, at least the drama itself is very, very fun. Okay. Moving on. Actually, I want to go to George Santos. Speaking of congressional fails. Plenty of that. All right. There we go. McCarthy lost the third round. Disaster. Newly elected Congressman George Santos is not having a good first day at his job.
Do you feel like you're qualified to serve in this Congress right now? How do you hope your constituents can trust you, even though that you've misrepresented your biography to them?
What's your response to calls for a House ethics investigation by Nick Lolota?
Do you have any statements about your campaign and how you hope to govern? Do you hope to carry out your full term? Do you have any statements to your constituents? Do you have any statements to your constituents?
Santos, are you copying your position? Are you copying your position, sir? Sir, are you copying your position? Sir.
Any comments on the protest happening outside of your office?
He literally missed his own office. Awkward. Super awkward. Look, he does not look like he's very happy to be there. And I suppose if you're George Santos, which I guess I could claim to be, you know, if I were as much of a serial liar as George Santos, I'd claim to be George Santos. Probably get away with it. Lose or win an election, you know? But it gets better because, well, I'm going to show you a video here of him sitting by himself as other incoming congressional members were mingling amongst each other in this new session, the 118th. Not much to do there. Not having a lot of fun. Not enjoying himself. Now, you would think that somebody who lies as much as George Santos, if that's his real name, would get along with other members of Congress who are also massive liars, but apparently not. And it doesn't seem to be the fact that he is the new guy either. Because you can understand, oh, like, first, I don't really know anybody, you know, I just got elected. It's very difficult for me to make friends, you know, because it's my first day. No, according to ABC reporter Ben Siegel, George Santos is sitting by himself in the back of the chamber. He appears to be the only person sitting in silence, not talking to anyone else. One member went over to say hi, Representative Ken Calvert. And as soon as Santos introduced himself, Calvert bolted away. Oh, hey, welcome to Congress. Who are you? What's your name? Oh, I'm George Santos. Oh, you're that guy? Oh, no, get away from me. Oh, I'm not interested. I gotta go. I gotta go. No, look. You know what? Maybe he's got BO. Maybe he sweat a little too much, you know, on that walk past his office, and he had to go find his office. Or, you know, maybe it's because he's got the stink of a federal and local investigation on him as well. You know, for lying about his entire past, including some of his funding, where he got some of his money, which may or may not be real. Now, he also could have had someone with him that might have actually helped corroborate some of the story. See, it turns out that he could have brought his husband along, alleged husband along. But he decided not to. Not only did he not show up with the alleged husband, but it wasn't even wearing his wedding band. That's very, very interesting here. I mean, members are allowed and often do bring their spouses with them to the Capitol building to, you know, see them so that they can watch their significant other get sworn in. That's a very important moment. You would think that after you had won this election and it's your first day in Congress, you're an elected official, you're a representative in the United States Congress, you would want your significant other there to share in that moment. Now, there is one possibility here that my mind immediately thinks to, and that is that husband is not real, does not exist. Again, it's a big assumption that there even is a husband. Considering how Santos lied about basically everything, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. And by the way, if he's not lying and there was some other actually legitimate reason, can you really blame anyone for thinking that, hey, this is you know, I don't believe you. I don't believe you because, you know, you lied about your education, you lied about your job history, you lied about, you know, being married because in 2019 you were married to a woman. I mean, what at this point, what hasn't George Santos lied about? Are we even sure that George Santos exists? We don't know. Now, it is funny though, and some people have picked up on this, but it's funny how differently Republicans treat this liar, George Santos, versus someone else who has lied, I would argue, way more than George Santos has. Donald Trump. I mean, I still believe Donald Trump is liar of the year. Not just liar of the year, liar of the decade. So what's the difference? Well, I think the difference here is George Santos is a nobody. He's a nobody and has no power. Simple as that. Now with Trump allegedly had a lot of money, and he still, most importantly, has some sway in the base. Now, not as much as he used to, and that seems to be rapidly, declining his power. And by the way, you also have a lot of the investigations. You have a lot of these legal troubles that are hounding Trump, and so all that means he's losing his power. But this is power that George Santos never had. And so I would be very surprised if the voters for Santos weren't extremely angry with all the ways that he had misrepresented himself during the campaign. Because understand, there's a difference between lying about your positions, as I would say Republicans and most politicians do. They lie about their positions or lie about what they're able to do when they get into office. That's really standard campaign fare. But George Santos did something different. He lied about who he was. His history, who he was. And so it's one of those things where it's like you're not even lying about what you're going to do in office, or, well, you are, but you're lying about things that don't make any sense. Should anybody care if you went to college? You could just be like, no, I didn't go to college. No, I didn't work at Goldman Sachs or Citigroup. No, I didn't do this. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't actually have, relatives that were in the Holocaust or anything, or escaped the Holocaust, or anything like that. No. You didn't have to lie about all these things, but part of his campaign was selling himself as something that he wasn't. Checking off all these particular boxes in order to, sell himself as something different to the electorate. And I think that's very relevant going forward. So, as to why he's being basically ignored, well, I think other Republicans that either don't know who he is, which, okay, that's possible, and don't care because he's got no powers, he's a nobody, or the ones who do know about him don't think he's going to be around long enough to even bother making friends with. There you go. He lied about lying. Okay. Anyway, let's go back and we'll talk about Don Jr. It's just in Kevin McCarthy having a bad day. True. Donald Trump Jr. has a brand new grift selling a very old book.
With American Judeo-Christian values under attack, there could be no better time than to re-up our commitment to America and to the Christian values that this country was founded on. Go check out the We the People Bible, made in America, printed in America, assembled in America. You're going to love it, and I think the people in your life probably need it too.
It's made in America, printed in America, assembled in America, written by Middle Eastern Jewish people, not in America. Okay, all right, sure. I cannot count all the ways that is sad and pathetic. Because there are many. This man is out there literally selling the Bible. You know that people will just give it to you, right? I mean, generally, people can't wait to give you Bibles. Certain kinds of people can't wait to just try to hand you a Bible. Like, I don't know how many times I personally, people are like, you need this. No, I don't. Really don't. No, thank you. But look, what's funny is, and what this illustrates is, there's literally nothing that family will not do for money. So now, what's funny about this as well is that this was actually posted by the Twitter account Patriot Takes last week, but it went viral after being retweeted by outgoing Representative Adam Kinzinger, Republican, by the way. And here's what he wrote. Oh, the irony. The fact that some Christians don't see the problem here is more affirmation that it's not the GOP that has failed Christians, it's the church. Oh, interesting. And then added, good pastors and priests rise up and call this out. We certainly do need more of that. There has been some who are, sensibly religious that have called out the Trump family over the Trump administration. But when it comes to evangelicals, they're pretty late to the party. In fact, look, the Republican Party today, I'll get to the examples of evangelicals finally jumping on the bandwagon. But first, let me note that the Republican Party is not at all, even though they claim to be the party of Christianity, which is insane because we have a secular government that's set up. Okay, the Republican Party is not a good representative of Christianity, of Christian America, or the church at all, or Christian values. Traditional Christian values, you know what they actually were? Feeding the poor, housing the homeless, welcoming immigrants. I know. Crazy, right? And taxing the wealthy, because rich people don't get into heaven. But look, even if they weren't pretending to, represent Christianity, there's still no place in the United States government for the Bible. Now, for people who believe in it, sure, but there's also places for people who believe in the Quran, believe in, the Torah, who believe in, the flying spaghetti monster, who believe in nothing. That's what a secular government is. It allows everyone, regardless of their religious beliefs, to serve in office, as long as they're not using those beliefs to try to impose them on everyone else. But here's the thing, right? When it comes to a lot of these, fake right-wing Christians, they represent the worst of America. The greed, the hatred, the lies. Again, George Santos is a great example of Republican lies because they lie about everything. And yet, he's the newest Republican that took office today. Among many others who claim to be good Christians who actually don't believe in anything that's actually in the Bible. And so, look, and by the way, George Santos, getting back to him for a second, remember, this guy lies as easily as easily as he breathes. And yet the Trumps are even worse, they're even bigger liars. And they grift endlessly. Now, that said, is the evangelical community buying what Donald Trump Jr. is selling? Or Trump in general? Remember, the evangelical community is one of the bigger drivers that had actually brought Donald Trump to victory in 2016. Apparently not anymore. Sort of. Not anymore-ish. Let me give you some quotes here. Mike Evans told the Washington Post, quote, Donald Trump can't save America. He can't even save himself. Oh, that's okay. Harsh words indeed. Now, Evans was part of a group of evangelicals who met with Trump at the White House and at one point gave him an award. Now he says he's done. Quote, he used us to win the White House. We had to close our mouths and eyes when he said things that horrified us. I cannot do that anymore. Funny enough that, you were absolutely fine with it. You
Tolerated it.
You tolerated it. Okay. While he was in power, when he could still do things for you. Oh, but as soon as he's not into power, as soon as he starts getting in trouble, that's when you distance yourself from, oh, that guy? Pff, no, he, coffee boy. That's who he was. Not a real Christian. We're telling you that the whole time. But there's more. Robert Jeffress, one of Trump's evangelical advisors during the 2016 campaign, a longtime supporter, says, I'm not ready to endorse him again. And he probably won't. Quote, the Republican Party is headed towards a civil war that I have no desire or need to be a part of. Adding that he would happily support Trump again if he wins the nomination, i.e. if he can actually give me something in return for my support. If not, piss off. Essentially. Not quoting him there, but, basically it's one of those, hey, if you can't do anything for me, get the out of my house. That's it. But there's more. James Robison of Life Outreach International said in a speech back in November that Trump's ego is getting in the way of his agenda. Quote, if Mr. Trump can't stop his petty issues, how does he expect people to stop major issues? Sir, you act like a little elementary school child, and you shoot yourself in the foot every morning you get up and open your mouth. The more you keep your mouth closed, the more successful you're going to be. So I love how his advice is basically, shut the fuck up. Just shut up. Stop talking and do our bidding. Awesome. And by the way, our bidding is basically things like, I don't know, stripping and bodily autonomy from them, outlawing things like adult entertainment, pornography or video games, books that they don't like that mention anything about the LGBTQIA plus community, anything that they don't like that offends their little sensibilities. That's what they want whoever is the president of the United States to get rid of. So, by the way, there's one more. Washington Times columnist Everett Piper wrote after the midterms, the take home of this past week is simple. Donald Trump has to go. If he's our nominee, we will get destroyed. It's funny how people keep saying that, and then it turns out to be true. Because everyone around him gets destroyed. But not him. Not yet. At least. Now, that said, does any of that matter to Don Jr.? No, of course not. The only thing that matters to Don Jr. is grabbing every single last dollar he can before the river dries up. And that's what it is. Look, he can see the polls. His father not doing well when it comes to a possible nomination for 2024. In fact, a lot of Republicans are now shifting towards Ron DeSantis. So he sees the family going down. He sees he's been abandoned by the Murdoch press, Fox News, most of it, New York Post, all these different outlets that are conservative have left him. And now the evangelical community also leaving him high and dry because, again, he is no longer useful. And so what Don Jr. is doing is he sees the writing on the wall. And he's like, I gotta grift as many people as I can for as much as I can for as long as I can. And I'll do it by literally selling you the Bible. That entire family, absolutely 100% painless. But what do you expect from the Trumps? Okay. In fairness to Junior, he has to get money for legal fees somehow. True. Top-notch Bible, director's cut, commentary. I don't know why I didn't, but okay. Fun times. Okay. So, let's see. Why don't we read some super chats here and check over on Twitch, see what's going on there. Actually, we'll start out with Twitch. How about that? Let's see. Lava Rains is actually the last time I was on, but I didn't get to this. Happy New Year, Jeff and Waldorf Nation family. Maybe I did actually. All right, let's go to YouTube super chats. Jonathan Ladder says, Happy New Year. Imagine taking 0.1% of the military budget and use it to help house the homeless and the needy. Well, that would be fantastic, and that's exactly why we probably were doing it, because it would help poor people and not already super wealthy people. Somebody please think of the rich. Somebody please think of rich people. Yeah. No, thank you for being a member for 16 months, by the way. And also $5 super chat, same person, Jonathan Leiter. Would you prefer we throw jello or mud on the house floor for them to wrestle in? Schadenfreude. I actually don't want to see any of that. That's eye bleach. Okay. I mean, forget about the injection. Just put it on my eyeballs if I have to see Marjorie Green wrestling jello against Lauren Boebert. I mean, let's not do that. Let's no. Please. Stop.
Sexual anarchy.
No. No.
No.
I don't think so. We're not going to go in that direction.
This direction is about the people.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay. Anyway. Gammy Mathis with the very kind $5. Happy New Year and get 45 locked up in 2023. That's what you hope for. But okay. Anyway. Board game. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's true though. It's true. We're not doing please clap, okay? We're not doing that. The problem is I have so many to get to, and I have to go through menus and stuff in order to reach all my different soundboards. I've got like 3 different ones on, no, I've got 5. I've got 5 different soundboards to go through. It's terrible. It's terrible. Also, fun.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
That's right. Okay. Well, thank you for the super chats. As I said, appreciate that. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. And everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, as we get back to the usual schedule. All right, everybody. Love you all. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Remember, change.
Oh no! We'll do it live!
Tighten up my meat. I like my meat tight.
Please Peace clap.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Bitch, move it along.